was a lot of pressure on Lester Holt in moderating the first presidential debate, and the NBC anchor turned out to be tough, at least when it came to one candidate.
But I just want to get the answer here. The birth certificate was produced in 2011. You continued to tell the story and question the president's legitimacy in 2012, 13, 14, 15, as recently as January. So the question is, what changed your mind? The IRS says an audit of your taxes, you're perfectly free to release your taxes during an audit. And so the question, does the public's right to know outweigh your personal...
Well, I told you, I will release them as soon as the audit...
I do want to follow up. Stop and frisk was ruled unconstitutional in New York because it largely singled out black and Hispanic young men.
No, you're wrong.
There was no comparable interrogation of Hillary Clinton. We're back with the panel. Molly Hemingway, Trump predicted to me that Lester Holt might be tougher on him to avoid the kind of criticism that his NBC colleague Matt Lauer had gotten that earlier for him. I'm not saying that was his motivation, but he seemed much tougher on Trump.
No, there's no question. It wasn't even close. And I actually thought he did a great job with Trump. He did push back on him. It's just that there should have been a commensurate thing happening with Hillary Clinton. The only reason the emails were brought up was because Donald Trump brought them up. He didn't fact check her on the claim she made about her email scandal. There was nothing about Libya. There were all these questions about Donald Trump's position on foreign policy from back when he was a private citizen, and nothing for Hillary Clinton at the same time. Also, none of the signature issues that Donald Trump would like to bring out: immigration, economic issues, forein policy.
Let's play the very brief exchange. This is the only time that the Clinton email debacle came up. Let's show it.
He also raised the issue of your emails. Do you want to respond to that?
I do. You know, I made a mistake using a private email.
And then no follow-up. 5 fact-checking questions to Trump. Michael Tomasky, 0 to Hillary. Your take.
I will say that did stand out to me, that moment when Holt did not follow up at all and ask any kind of interrogatory question about the email thing. But I do think, again, some of this is Trump's fault. You know, candidates have to bring these things up if they want them to be discussed. It's their job. It's their job to kind of set the direction of the conversation. Nobody asked her about Alicia Machado. She brought her up, and we've been talking about her all week. It's up to the candidates.
Absolutely up to the candidates, and Donald Trump had a number of missed opportunities in the debate, Heidi. But when the moderator frames the debate, he asked the questions, and I also thought the questions to Trump were fair game, and I kept waiting for comparable follow-ups and uncomfortable questions to be asked of the Democratic nominee.
Well, the question isn't how many times he interrupted the candidates and who he fact-checked the most, but whether he did it fairly. He fairly stopped Donald Trump on a number of these questions, but he could have asked harder questions of Hillary Clinton. I did go through the questions, and most of them were kind of straight down the line in the beginning. What's your jobs plan, your tax plan, cybersecurity, preventing terrorism? There were 2 questions, though, that were definitely questions where Trump was on the defense, on birtherism, and on his comments about whether Clinton had had not a presidential look, that put Trump on the defense. There could have been a question or 2 as well to Clinton, for example, on the Clinton Foundation. So again, the bar here has to be whether he was unfairly fact-checked, and he was not unfairly fact-checked.
I'm not saying that. I don't think anybody here is saying that. But we seem to have a consensus that there was somewhat a one-sided approach here. But now, you're all listening to what the pundits think, what we think, and of course you make up your own minds. But what really counts is, how did it play on Saturday Night Live? Let's take a look. We've looked at it. Do we have a chance to actually hear it? Okay, let's try it one more time. Live television.
He started the birther movement.
You did.
He says climate change is a hoax invented by China.
It's pronounced China.
He hasn't released his tax returns, which means he's either not that rich, not that charitable, or he's never paid taxes in his life.
Warmer.
Alec Baldwin and Kate McKinnon. All right, does that move the needle? It's funny stuff, but does it affect the perceptions of the candidates when you have that kind of mockery?
No, not really. I mean, Baldwin really nailed it. But, yeah, it'll get talked about at the water coolers, and it feeds into perceptions of them.
But not necessarily a Tina Fey moment.
Well, even more than that, I feel like our comedians are doing a really bad job just handling targeting of political heroes. They couldn't do anything about Barack Obama because they said he wasn't funny. They're always doing very gentle humor with Hillary Clinton because they want her to win. And for comedy to really be effective, it has to actually not have these people it's trying to protect. It can't just go against
Well, I've talked about the late-night comics mostly being against Trump, but Trump gave Alec Baldwin a fair amount of material.